Hello, I'm Eri. Tense days on Israel's northern border with Lebanon. Very close to the border with Israel. In recent weeks, Israel had been targeting the personnel responsible for rebuilding this infrastructure, even in the Haita Ashad area just meters from our border. Following the same pattern, intelligence, prior warning to evacuate, and guided munitions against military targets hidden among civilian neighborhoods. Just a few hours ago, this same protocol was repeated. Ordered evacuations at several points in southern Lebanon, target identification, and a precision surgical strike in the best style of the Israeli Air Force. In Haitha al-Jabal, residents were instructed to stay 500 meters away from the target before the air raid. The alert came before the bombing, allowing many to record the exact site and giving us these images. That's how clear the difference is between an army that gives warnings, where there shouldn't be any civilians, and a terrorist organization that hides behind them. Hezbollah has been trying for weeks to recover and rebuild its military strength south of the Litany. And they do it by placing weapons depots inside homes, schools, and mosques, using their own people as human shields. This is not resistance, it's terrorism and cowardice, of course. That's why Israel is directly striking the infrastructure of the Ratman force, which started operating again in the area where it was supposed to be banned. It targets the heart of the problem, leaders trying to regain control and firepower after last year's losses. In the past month, the Israel Defense Forces has eliminated about 20 Hezbollah operatives on the northern front, especially in Haita al-Shad and Ben Hebil, two of the group's main operational centers. If anyone is wondering where so many replacements and so much ammunition come from, the answer is clear: from constant smuggling. Rockets, anti-tank missiles, and artillery that come in from Syria and through maritime routes, openly violating the date and the conditions of the ceasefire. And of course, all of this comes from Iran. Israel cannot just stand by while Hezbollah rearms itself right under the nose of the Lebanese government, while that country's army looks the other way, or even worse, collaborates. In fact, the Lebanese state apparatus itself has shown alarming signs. President Yosef Aoun ordered the armed forces to confront Israeli troops in the event of incursions. An instruction that Naim Qassem, Hezbollah's number 2, praised as a responsible stance. Responsible to who? That's the question. Because in practice, that shields Hezbollah and leaves the civilians in the south trapped. Between their arsenal and the response that arsenal provokes, the Lebanese state has become a hostage of the militia, and the result is a country that has lost control of its own territory. And in all this, the big absentee is the international press. The media omission is working at full speed. The same media that headline every Israeli response remains silent when it comes to Hezbollah's violations of the ceasefire. They don't say a single word about the rearmament or about the negligence of the Lebanese army, which had the duty to disarm the Shiite militia and re-establish state control in the south, just as was stipulated in the ceasefire protocols. For them, it's not news that a terrorist organization is violating an international agreement and preparing for a new confrontation. They prefer to look the other way, waiting for the next opportunity to blame Israel. Wall Street Journal, in its October 30th edition, explained it clearly. Hezbollah is rebuilding its weaponry and its decimated ranks, defying the terms of the agreement and increasing the possibility of a new conflict with Israel. According to Israeli and Arab intelligence sources, the group sponsored by Iran is replenishing rockets, anti-tank missiles, and quite a bit of artillery. In other words, while Israel complies with the terms of the ceasefire, Hezbollah is rearming with total impunity and the international community remains silent. The agreement, which was supposed to bring stability, turned into what many of us warned about from the beginning. There was an opportunity for Hezbollah to re-establish itself, reorganize its ranks, and consolidate its power over a weak state. The press stays silent, not from ignorance, but because they're waiting for the right moment. The headline, Israel breaks the ceasefire, sells more than Hezbollah, violates the agreements, sells more. That's what journalism has been reduced to, waiting for the useful headline. The reality in Israel is very different. If the country didn't maintain its tough stance, missiles would already be falling again from the north. Hezbollah and Hamas feed off the media silence, which acts as fuel for this conflict. And those who should be enforcing the agreements simply aren't doing it. Are they ignoring it or just looking away? Let me pause briefly now. Thanks to our 170,000 plus subscribers. Among them, there are many Christians from different denominations. Catholics, of course, Jehovah's Witnesses, Messianics, and of course, also my Jewish brothers. Thank you for continually supporting this channel. All of them have something in common, the concern about what is happening here in the region, especially with Israel. So thank you very much for the support. If you who are watching this video are not subscribed, well, you can do it right now by clicking the button below that says subscribe. And a special thanks to the channel members. If you want to become a member, you just have to click the button that says join. All right, let's move on to Gaza now. Netanyahu presented to the Security Cabinet a reconstruction plan proposed by Trump, which is already generating debate both inside and outside of Israel. The project proposes building a model city within the area under Israeli control, what we call behind the yellow line, completely isolated from the rest of the strip by a security fence. The idea is to create planned neighborhoods with services, schools, and hospitals under Israeli supervision and with controlled access, to prevent the infiltration of armed groups or Gazans who do not reside in the area. The plan envisions sheltering about 1 million people, half of Gaza's total population, while the rest would remain in the destroyed areas or seek to emigrate. In other words, a complete reconstruction of the territory, with one part under safe conditions and the other plunged into uncertainty, if they don't know how to take a stand on what the future holds. In Gaza, meanwhile, groups of Gazans continue to leave for other countries. On Palestinian and Arab social media, daily videos show buses under Israeli control transporting families to Ramon Airport escorted by the police. During the war, they mainly left with foreign passports. What is surprising is that now they are also leaving with Palestinian passports. Others leave as medical refugees, mostly children, accompanied by family members. And there is no clarity about which countries are currently receiving them. It's a powerful and sad image at the same time. Entire families leaving Gaza not by choice, but out of desperation. And meanwhile, the mainstream media, which are outraged by every Israeli response, barely mention these facts. Because admitting them would mean recognizing that the real obstacle to peace is not the walls, but those who govern Gaza from terror and corruption. In Judea and Samaria, a daily battle is also being fought. It's less publicized, but just as dangerous. In the last few hours, 3 incidents have been reported that show just how active the terrorist cells still are. The first operation took place in the Nur Shams refugee camp, east of Tulkarem. Israeli special forces entered to dismantle an armed network of Islamic Jihad that was planning attacks against Israeli civilians. The terrorists opened fire from homes and alleys, using the population as a shield, but the response was precise. 4 men were killed, rifles, ammunition, and explosives were seized, and firing positions were destroyed. Hours later, a second operation in northern Samaria located another cell of the same organization preparing an imminent attack. After the gunfire exchange, all members were neutralized with no Israeli casualties. At the scene, war materials, maps, and communication equipment were found, confirming preparations for new attacks. Simultaneously, there was an attempted attack in southern Judea and Samaria. What you're seeing on screen is near the Gush Etzion junction. Israeli vehicles were attacked with Molotov cocktails. The cameras detected the attackers, the forces responded immediately and managed to neutralize one of them. There were no injuries on the Israeli side, but the incident made it clear that the violence is not contained. It's only transforming. These 3 episodes reflect the same pattern: the expansion of terrorism from Gaza in the north toward Judea and Samaria. Groups like Islamic Jihad and Hamas are trying to open a new internal front, encouraged and financed by Iran. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority is absent, lacking both control and political will. And once again, no headlines. Won't you see this in the media that Israel dismantled terrorist cells or prevented them? They just wait for the next confrontation to write again. Israel attacks the West Bank without context or truthfulness. The reality here is different from what they show from the outside. Israel is not seeking confrontation, but it will not allow Judea and Samaria to become another front of terror either. Every operation, every arrest, and every weapon seizure are not just numbers. They are lives saved and attacks prevented. That's why this space exists. That's what this channel is for, to tell what's really happening here from Israel without embellishments or manipulation, just the facts that are happening here. I invite you to subscribe to the channel and click the join button. If you want to access the memberships that give you access to the private news group on WhatsApp, where we share news every day, don't leave without leaving your like. See you.